today the next step in our cross-government approach, and these include temporary public health restrictions at the border. This will require international arrivals to self-isolate for 14 days. That is the incubation period of the virus, so that if people have become infected overseas, we can limit the spread of the virus at home. This is because they could become a high proportion of the overall number of infections in the UK and therefore increase the spread of the disease. So with far fewer people being infected in this country, and with the public having worked so hard to bring the R number down, any new arrivals entering the country with the disease during this next phase will have a much bigger impact, potentially causing a second wave. And I know that families both at home and abroad are desperate to be reunited. But by taking these steps, we could save many more lives by making it possible for more family and more friends to safely be reunited in the future. And these measures will be introduced from the 8th of June, so that people arriving in the UK will be required to self-isolate for 14 days, except for those on a short list of exemptions. Arrivals will be required to provide contact and address details to help trace them should we need to. And given the amazing public spirit and the level of compliance we have seen so far, we expect the vast majority of people to do the right thing and comply with these new requirements. We know that the vast majority of people will continue to act responsibly to control the spread of this virus and to stop a second wave. But we will not allow a small minority, a reckless minority, to endanger us all. So there will be penalties for those who break these mandatory measures. Border Force will be on the front line of implementing the changes with spot checks as people arrive in the UK. And I'd also like to take this opportunity to thank our Border Force staff and our officers for the role that they will play and for all that they are doing to protect our nation at this deeply challenging time. We are working across all 4 nations of the UK to make these public health measures work, but I'll now turn to the enforcement approach that is being taken here in England. We will conduct spot checks by mid-June to ensure that people are self-isolating. And those from overseas who refuse to comply could be refused entry. Public Health England will set up an assurance service to contact people at random to ensure that they understand the requirements and to also ensure that they are self-isolating. And our outstanding police will continue to do as they've done diligently across the country to engage, explain, and encourage people to follow the rules. We will empower them to use enforcement as the last resort. So anyone breaking their 14-day quarantine could face a penalty of £1,000, and that will be a fixed penalty notice. And ultimately, that could also go into potential prosecution and an unlimited fine for failure to comply with these sanctions. We will keep these penalties under review and will be unafraid to increase them if that is required.